Big Z Reviews. So now that the main Star Wars numbered saga has ended, at least apparently, I figured I'd do a ranking of my favorite Star Wars films. And I wouldn't be surprised if my ranking is a little different from other people's, but, this is what I feel. And this is not necessarily the best films. This is my favorites, what I like watching it, what I don't like watching, and what bothers me. And that's, especially with the original trilogy, my order is going to be different from most people's because things bother me in the other ones. But here we go. For number 11, for my least favorite Star Wars film, the worst, it would have to be Solo, A Star Wars Story. And that is definitely the worst to me. And that's just not because the choices it makes are like, no one cares. Like, the whole idea of Solo, like, there's so much for prequelitis. And so many of the prequels suffer from it. But, I mean, it's weird to see, after all the earlier prequels happen, they try to do new ones. And you still have the same problems where you have to explain every goddamn thing. Like, oh, this is how he got his gun. Oh, his Solo? Yeah, that's a weird name in this galaxy. That's not just, it's just the guy that in the airport gave it to him, but he didn't have a last name. So you're Han Solo. And there's so much of it that's weird. But I think the worst part of the film is that it feels weird. It feels disjointed because it's obvious that the reshoots are so clear. Like the Ron Howard was trying to make a Western film, and a serious Western film, and the other directors were not trying to make a Western film. They're trying to make a bit of a jokey Star Wars adventure film. And they aren't compatible. They try to come together, and it's like, wait, that character was just joking a minute ago, and now he's super serious. And it just doesn't work. And it's so weird watching it over multiple times. Like, they set up this whole team of people, and you're like, am I supposed to care about them? Like, the first time you watch it, you think that. But then, like, when you watch it again, you're like, they're about to die. I don't give a shit about them. Just get along with it. Get along with it. And those are all reshoot characters. And it's just, it's tough, like, to watch sometimes. It's like, that is so frustrating with what they did with it. But, like, when you get to some of the stuff as it's an adventure film, some of it is okay. But still, so much of it is then wrapped up around, they have to be all the callbacks to everything you know about him. And it doesn't work because, like, the whole idea of the main Star Wars trilogy is that he is not a hero. But then he becomes a hero. But now he found out, oh, he was always a hero. And it doesn't work. And there's also, I didn't like the character playing Han. But, it's just, that is my least favorite of all the Star Wars films. So number 10 is Revenge of the Sith. And, as the final prequel of the trilogy, a lot of people think it's the best film. And it probably is the best film of the prequels, but it's my most hated one, my most disliked one, because of the different choices it makes and how it impacts the original trilogy. Because, I mean, I think my biggest problem with it is the turn he makes into Darth Vader. Because they had to set it up more. They had the quicker turn, but, like, he's still good. I mean, he killed some guy, but the guy he killed is evil. And then he's still good, and he wants to turn Palpatine in, but then, like, it's when Samuel L. Jackson is, like, going to execute him, he's like, no, and he tries to defend him, and then after that, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of kids for you. And like, wait, what? You're gonna kill hundreds of kids, of children, of younglings? Without any questioning it at all, or thinking, maybe Padme wouldn't like this. Maybe I shouldn't murder a bunch of children. Like, I could never get past that. And I can't believe they let Lucas have him walk into a room of kids and turn a lightsaber on, and the kids go, I can't believe they did that. Because like it makes it so that Darth Vader is not redeemable. In the original trilogy, he can't become a Force ghost. He can't become good. He's a child murderer. He murdered hundreds of children with his own hand. That's so funny when you think about it, like, and telling him to blow up a planet. Yeah, that's really bad, but like, it's like further extended. But he literally chopped children into pieces with his lightsaber. I could never get past that in this movie. And there's also goofy stuff, but like there's also a lot of great stuff in the film. But like that one thing made me hate it so much, and I also hated that, I really liked Padme, and to have her spend all this movie just being pregnant and being, I'm sad, I don't know what to do, I'm sad, I'm gonna die now because I'm sad. It really broke her character, and it made me hate it even more. And I think that it's always that, even every time I watch it, like, there's enjoyable stuff about it, but when they get to those scenes, I hate them so much. And number 9 is The Phantom Menace. And that is, it's funny, there's a lot of good stuff about this film, and a lot of stuff that is really great. Like, I love Qui-Gon Jinn, I love Darth Maul, but I mean, the stuff, the choices that makes, I think the biggest one will always be, is Jar Jar. It's just so, it's so tough to watch. It's like it annoys you so much when you rewatch it, and it's like, why are you taking him with you? Just leave him on the ship, and it's just it always like annoys me whenever I rewatch the films. And I think also too, the biggest weird thing is that they made Anakin too young. Like, I think they should have had him be closer to what he was in the second film. Because there's a lot of weirdness where, even when we get past the whole idea of being a slave child, like, and him being the chosen one, and him being Space Jesus, because he's like the Force had sex with his mother and created him. Like, even if you get past that, like I think that they bring him back to a planet that's at war, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna bring this kid with me. Just sit in that spaceship and don't go win the war. Like, it's so goofy, but at the same time, like, why did you bring him with you? He's a child. But there is a lot of good stuff in it. It's just all the stuff with the kid and all the stuff with Jar Jar is just odd. And if he's trying to make a movie for kids, it's okay. But then he can't. Later in this trilogy, you have him murdering kids, so it doesn't really make sense. But the stuff about this that is really good. It's just the stuff that I always frustrates me whenever I watch it, and so that's why it's at number 9. At number 8 is Attack of the Clones, and that's probably the weird one. Most people consider that to be the worst movie of all Star Wars movies, and I understand why, but at the same time, I like the adventure aspect of it. I like that they're going on an adventure, and it's funny, the stuff with Padme and Anakin is so cringy, but I kind of like how bad it is. It's kind of like it's so bad it's good for me. Like, I can laugh at this stuff. It's not like the other stuff when I hate, like, I can't laugh at it. But for some reason, I can laugh at the weird romance between Anakin and Padme. Like, and I like the adventure aspect of it a lot. It's always a fun movie for me. Even though it may be the worst of the bunch. It's fun. And so I like that you get more Anakin is more like who you think he should have been from the beginning, and also like he's really cool, a nice guy. But then you also see a little bit of him of his evil when he murders all the Sand People. I like that they're setting up his turn to evil, and I there's a lot I like about it, even though maybe it's not the best film. At number 7 is Rogue One, and I think Rogue One has a lot of cool stuff. I will say that I think that it may have the best Star Wars in the entire series. And I mean, it's filmed so well. I love how they did it because, obviously in the original trilogy, they did it in miniatures and with special camera, like automated cameras to get the shots, and they like double, they filmed it multiple times to get the different effects, like they double exposure and did so many crazy things to the original, but there were still limitations to what the ships could do. And you see when later on, they're doing their own CG thing and they do whatever they want. But something about how he did Rogue One, the space battles, like they look like the models, but then they do things that the models couldn't do, and it's so great. I love the space battles, and I love the final, Darth Vader scene. Like, just about makes the movie. But I think my biggest problem with it is all the characters. It's like they're stupid, so many of them. And it's like, why should I care about you? You're gonna die at the end of this film. When I rewatch it now, it's like, you're all gonna die. I don't give a shit about you, you know. And I think that's the biggest problem with the film. Is so much of it like they wanted to try to make you care about these brand new characters, and I don't. I don't give a shit about them. They're all gonna die. It doesn't matter. So I think that's always been my biggest fault with the film. So then number 6 is The Last Jedi. And I think that this, I was originally, when I first saw it, I was putting this at number 3. And maybe even higher. I was thinking about maybe even number 2. And I think that it is, honestly, my best Star Wars experience ever in the theater. And I think I put it in my top 5 best theater experiences ever. Like, I was so enthralled by The Last Jedi, watching it in the theater the first time. I had no idea what was happening, what was going to happen. I loved it so much. Like, I think this one, I mean, I'm not sure at the top 5, but like, probably in the top 5 would be Infinity War, and then Endgame. They're like, those 3 are my top 5 theater experiences, where I was so enthralled, and by the audience being so into it, and like, and this so not really knowing what was gonna happen. Those, like, it was my best theater experiences ever. But the more you watch it, the more it's like, all the stuff with Finn is just kind of goofy, and that they, with Finn, I mean, I think the biggest problem is that they didn't, like, Rian Johnson, he split all the characters up. And it's like, but you should, they should be spending more time together. Why wouldn't Finn and Poe be going on this mission? But now you introduce this new, like, janitor character, and I don't hate her, and the actress is fine, but I just think it's odd that the way you introduce her is by having her electrocuting the character people like, and then they go on this mission. Like, why would you take her with you? Like, why do you need her? And then this mission doesn't go anywhere, and it takes up so much time in the film. Like, watching it the first time, you think that, oh, it's going somewhere, so it's good. But rewatching it now, it's not going anywhere. So it's just wasted time. And it's like, just get this off the screen. Show me Rey training. Do more with Rey, or do more with anything, and more like in the first of the new trilogy, they had like the guy Snoke was saying that, come back to me to finish your training. So it seemed like they're setting up that he was going to be fully trained while Rey was being trained, but Rian Johnson didn't give a shit about that, so he just threw that out the window. But I mean, there's so much that, like, it's an amazing film. But there's so much that, while rewatching it, you think that, oh, God, it doesn't matter, It's just, and it sucks too, because now that the final movie is out, you realize how bad of a second movie of a trilogy it is, because it doesn't set anything up. Like, it didn't set anything up for the actual movie, but even for any kind of movie, like, I mean, it solved everything. The big bad guy is dead. And there is no other bad guy, according to this movie, other than Kylo Ren, and he has to be redeemed. So, like, it failed as the second movie in the trilogy. So that's why I put it here, even though so much about it I do love. At number 5 is The Rise of Skywalker, and who knows, that I could bring it down even further. But right now, I think that's where I'm going to put it, just because as a conclusion to the trilogy, it does do a lot of things okay. Like I like a lot of what it does, but I think that it fails because it also has to be the second movie in the trilogy for what the story it wanted to tell. And watch my review for more about what I think about this movie. That I just filmed that before filming this. But yeah, I put the Rise of Skywalker at number 5. Then at number 4, I would put the Force Awakens. And I think that looking back at it, it's still a really enjoyable film because it has so much to do with bring back the old viewers of the series and new viewers and viewers that people that liked the prequels, people that hated the prequels. It has so much to do, and I think it retreads a lot of ground, but I still think it's a really watchable, really enjoyable film, and really set up a lot of interesting new characters that it's just a shame the other movies didn't really build enough upon. And I would say it's definitely the most solid of the new movies, and really any of the movies since the original trilogy. At number 3, I would put Return of the Jedi. And, it's just because there is so much great stuff in Return, but I think that the guerrilla warfare stuff with the little furry guys, that's always kind of goofy. But there's so much other stuff that's great. It's such a good film. And that's why I would say that if you're gonna watch movies, do not watch them on Disney Plus. Do not get McClunky and all of the random shit that George Lucas put in. Like, watch the Despecialized Editions, and because they're so much better, they're such perfect films, and he kind of ruined them by putting all this CGI. But it looks horrible now, while the actual film looks great. It's so funny that practical effects, no matter how they age, usually look better, while CGI, if it ages, a lot of times they'll age really poorly. And it's just, I hate that people that are exposed to a new trilogy now, unless they have access to the Despecialized Editions, they'll get, the shit special editions. And every time I watch them, I have to watch them in Despecialized versions. That's why I made myself a bunch of Blu-ray copies, and I give them to people. And I will say, at the end of the film, I talk about maybe a giveaway I might be having. Number 2, and this is probably the toughest choice, in the choice between number 2 and number 1. But I think number 2 would be the original Star Wars, A New Hope. And that is, it's tough to say because there's so much great about both of these, but I think that so a lot of times I almost would want to put A New Hope number 1, just because it set everything up. Nothing else happens without this movie. But at the same time, it's like the whole, farm boy becoming the chosen one to become the hero is a little cliche, but it's so well done and so well crafted, and you see that there's so much love and effort put into this film from everybody, and they have no idea what they had in their hands, that they don't know what they're gonna make, and I love, there's so much great about this, and it brought everything about it, brought a whole science fiction. They changed the world. And I think that Empire rises a little bit more. The Empire Strikes Back is my number 1 Star Wars film, and that's just because it's such an epic film, and there's so much there, and it's so dark, but it sets everything up. It sets so much up for the finale. That's what it's such a great second film, because it has Luke faces Darth Vader, and he is not enough. He is not strong enough. And he almost is killed. And I love that, the character growth it gives him. And and how other people that you don't know what's gonna happen, Han is in kryptonite, but there's room for everything to grow. And it's just such a good film. It's so beautiful and so well crafted, so well directed, and it's funny that it's probably the least change for the special editions. But it's still, I still would say that if you can watch the Despecialized versions. But that it'll always be my favorite film. I think Empire. It's just such a good film. There's so many twists and turns, and it's just so perfect. So as for the giveaway, I think I'm gonna do this, and if maybe I'll send out like up to 5 of versions of the trilogy of despecialized versions, and all I have to ask is that if the winner, it has to have some sort of physical media version of the original trilogy. And I think I'll do maybe like one for every 5 or 10 comments or something until we get to 5 sold total. But I mean, if I don't know, I don't get that many viewers on my videos or that many comments, but I mean, I'll do like at least 5 if I get enough comments. I'll send out. I'll be willing to send out 5 despecialized versions of the trilogy, and I just leave a comment and say you're interested, and I'll do it randomly if I have enough comments. If I get like one comment, I give it to that one person, I guess. But but yeah, I give them to friends. I give them to people that I know I like Star Wars. I like giving them out as gifts, versions of the Despecialized Editions. So if you're interested, comment below. And thanks for watching. You should have the replays from my head, and this guy's from Z over there. Thanks. This has been a Big Z video. Thanks for watching.